The morning light filtered to the large windows of Willow and Bean Café, casting a golden hue across the rustic wooden floors and cozy, mismatched furniture. Usually, the cafe hummed with laughter and light chatter. But today, the air was thick with tension. The mood was somber. Baristas whispered. Waitresses tiptoed. Even the customers kept their conversations to a low murmur. Because he was there. At the table by the window, as always, sat Gerald Rothman, the millionaire no one wanted to serve. Gerald was a self-made real estate mogul with an ego the size of the city skyline. His tailored suits were always pristine, his silver hair slicked back to perfection, and his presence louder than any voice in the room. But it wasn't his money that made people tremble, it was his mouth. He had a reputation for cruelty. Staff members recounted stories of him reducing employees to tears over lukewarm coffee or misspelt names. He had once snapped his fingers at a waitress until she cried. Another time, he berated a barista so badly that the poor man walked out and never returned. And yet, Gerald came every Tuesday at 9 a.m., and no one dared turn him away. This morning, he was in an especially foul mood. The moment he walked in, his sharp eyes scanned the cafe like a hawk. God help whoever made a mistake today. The manager, Henry, a soft-spoken man with thinning hair and tired eyes, greeted Gerald with a shaky smile. "Your usual table, sir." Gerald didn't respond. He merely grunted and sat down, placing his gold-plated phone on the table with an audible thud. The staff scrambled. Behind the counter, 19-year-old Jake, the youngest barista on the team, prepared Gerald's usual, a half-sipped almond milk extra foam latte, heated precisely to 138 degrees Fahrenheit. Jake's hands trembled as he steamed the milk, his eyes darting nervously to the corner where Gerald sat, staring at the clock. "Faster!" Gerald muttered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Time is money." That's when Lena walked in, her second day on the job. She was new in town, just moved in with her aunt, and had taken the job to help pay for her college classes. Lena wasn't naive, but she also didn't yet know who Gerald Rothman was. She tied her apron, grabbed her order pad, and stepped onto the floor with quiet confidence. Jake placed a latte on the tray, whispering, "Be careful. He's difficult." She smiled. "I've handled cranky customers before. I'll be fine." But as she approached Gerald's table, the room seemed to collectively hold its breath. She gently set the cup down. "Your latte, sir. Let me know if you need anything else." Gerald took one sip, just one, and then spat it back into the cup. "What is this garbage?" he barked, slamming the cup down hard enough to splash foam onto the tablecloth. "This tastes like dishwater. Who made this?" Jake froze behind the counter. "I asked a question." Gerald shouted, turning to glare at the staff. "Am I speaking Chinese? Who made this catastrophe of a drink?" The cafe fell silent. Everyone waited for the familiar dance. The manager would apologize, the barista would panic, and Gerald would smirk in satisfaction. But this time, something unexpected happened. Lena took a step forward. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't tremble. She simply stood tall and looked him in the eyes. "I believe I served it, sir," she said calmly. "And Jake made it. If there's something wrong with it, I'd be happy to replace it." Gerald narrowed his eyes. "Replace it? That boy couldn't steam milk to save his life. And what kind of waitress are you, serving trash like this?" Lena didn't flinch. "With all due respect," she said, "you're welcome to express your dissatisfaction, but you don't get to insult people." You could hear a pin drop. "What did you just say?" Gerald's voice was low now, dangerous. "You heard me," she replied, still calm. "You can criticize the coffee, but you don't get to humiliate the people who work hard to make it." Henry, the manager, stepped forward in a panic. "Lena, please." But she held up a hand. "I'm not trying to start a fight," she said softly. "But we all deserve to be treated like human beings, including Jake, including me." Gerald stared at her, stunned. No one had ever dared speak to him like that. "Do you know who I am?" he asked finally, his voice icy. "I know you're a regular customer," Lena replied. "And I know that being wealthy doesn't give you the right to be unkind." Something shifted in the room. A quiet strength radiated from Lena, not arrogance, not rebellion, just truth. Gerald leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. And then he laughed. It wasn't a warm laugh, more like a bark, but it wasn't cruel either. Well, he said, aren't you something? He pushed the cup away. Make me another. Tell the boy to try again, and make it right this time. Lena gave a small nod. Of course, sir. She walked back to the counter, where Jake stood wide-eyed. You okay? She asked. Yeah, he stammered. No one's ever stood up to him before. She smiled. Maybe he just needed someone to remind him he's not the king of the world. Over the next few weeks, something changed. Gerald kept coming in every Tuesday, but slowly the atmosphere shifted. He stopped yelling. He stopped insulting. Sometimes, he'd give Jake a curt nod of approval. Other times, he'd ask Lena for recommendations. And once, just once, he even said thank you. He never apologized, of course. Gerald Rothman didn't do apologies, but his behavior spoke volumes. The staff noticed. Customers noticed. The tension that once filled the air slowly dissolved. And Lena? She never made a big deal about what happened. She showed up, did her job, helped when things got busy, and treated everyone with the same quiet dignity she showed on her second day. But among the team, she became something more than just a waitress. She became the one who stood up to the storm and stayed standing. Even Henry, once timid and cautious, began to find his voice. One morning, when a customer shouted about their food being cold, Henry politely but firmly asked them to lower their voice. That had never happened before, all because of one young woman with courage. One rainy morning, Gerald walked in, shook the water off his coat, and looked around. Where's Lena? He asked. She has an exam, Henry replied. Gerald nodded. Tell her good luck. And with that, he sat down, opened his newspaper, and waited quietly. Moral of the story. True power isn't in money or status or the ability to make others fear you. It's in treating people with kindness, even when you don't have to, and in standing up when others can't. Lena didn't shout. She didn't argue. She simply reminded everyone of something we all forget sometimes. Respect is not earned by wealth. It's earned by character. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Tell us in the comments. Have you ever stood up for someone when no one else would? Or witness a moment of quiet bravery like Lena's? Your story might give someone the courage to do the same.